Hi guys, and welcome back to the Student Switchboard. In today's video, I'm just going to have a quick chat to you about what to do when you feel like quitting. The feeling that you want to quit university is quite common. It's something that happens to quite a lot of students, but it can happen for a variety of reasons, and it's important to figure out what it is that is making you feel that way. So in today's video, I just want to go through a few different reasons that might be there for making you want to quit and what you can maybe do to handle it. The first thing, and probably the most common thing that might be making you feel like you want to quit university, is exam or assessment stress. Now this is something that everybody goes through when it comes up to assessment time or exam time. As I've mentioned in a couple of recent videos, you can feel that overwhelming panic of, I've got far too much to do, I can't cope with all of this work, there's too much to do and not enough time, and I don't know what I'm doing. That happens to everybody. Especially if you have several assessments all due in over one period of time, so maybe over the space of a couple of weeks you've got a few assessments due in, so written essays or reports, at the same time as you maybe have group presentations, and at the same time you might have exams. So that can all become very overwhelming, and when you put all of that together, that can lead to a lot of stress that can make you start to feel like you just don't want to do it anymore. If it's something like that, what's most important is that you take a step back and realise that this is a temporary situation and it's going to be over soon. While the temptation at the time while you're going through it is to run away from it and get as far away from the stress as possible, you have to keep in mind the end goal, which is when you get through your exams and your assessments, they're all out of the way. And so depending on what year you're in, you're maybe about to graduate, so you get through your exams and assessments and then you graduate and go off into the world, or you get through this period of time and then it's summer, you get a break and then you go on to your next year. Whatever it is, this period of time is temporary. It is not going to last forever, and making a decision to quit based on something that's only going to last a short period of time is probably not the best idea. So if you've ruled out that it isn't exam stress or assessment stress that is making you upset and not wanting to be at university anymore, you have to then figure out what else it is that could be making you feel that way. The first thing, and something that has happened to a lot of people that I know that it could be, is that you are on the wrong course. Now this is something that happens to so many people because, as I talked about in my last video, what can happen to a lot of people is that you're really not sure what you want to do at university. You know roughly the subject areas that you're interested in, so you just pick one and you go for it, and sometimes it can turn out to be not what you expected. I started my So You Want to Study series over on my blog, which is linked also in the description box, just to get posts from students on different courses that tell you what it's really like to be studying that particular subject. So you might have an idea in your head of what it might be like to study English literature, but the reality of studying English literature is actually quite different, and when you get onto the course and realise that, it might not be for you. Now that isn't something that you should feel stressed or guilty about. It's something that happens to lots of people. I have several friends who have been through this situation, who have started a course and then realised that it just isn't right for them. And that is something that you can only find out by actually starting it. So if you have a good think about it and you realise that you really love the university atmosphere, you love the university kind of student life, you love the friends that you've made and all of that stuff, but it's the class time that you're not enjoying, then maybe it's the course that you're on that you need to think about changing. I'm not going to go into talking in detail about changing courses in this video because that is something that deserves a video all on its own, so I will talk about that in more detail in a different video, but it's just something to have a think about. So if you've ruled out that it is not exam stress and it is not your course that is stressing you out, but you're feeling really upset and you don't want to be at university anymore, it's time to maybe start thinking about the university that you're at. For me, I actually stayed at home when I was at university because I went to Glasgow Uni and then I went to Glasgow Caledonian, which are both very near to where I live, so I didn't have to actually move out and it saved me a lot of money, so staying at home seemed like the sensible option. But I know that for most people, or a large chunk of people anyway, they do move out to go to university. So if you've made the decision to move away to start a course at a university that is miles and miles away from home, and you get there and you start to realise that maybe it isn't for you, that might be what is putting you off being at university. Homesickness is another thing that I'm going to dedicate an entire video to because there really is nothing more horrible than feeling homesick. I have been through it, not at university because, as I say, I stayed at home, but I did go travelling and I went through a little bit of homesickness, so I know what that feels like, and it's just the most horrible, horrible feeling. So I do, honestly, I give you a big virtual hug if you're going through a period of homesickness at university right now, because there's nothing more horrible. But you have to have a think about if it's that. Is it in the early stages of university? So if you have only been at university for a couple of weeks and you're feeling really homesick, do keep in mind that it's very early stages. You've literally just got there and everyone's going to go through that period of adjustment to begin with. But if you've been at this particular university for, 6 months, a year and a half, and you're still feeling that way and you still feel like every time that you leave home to go back to uni, you're gutted and you don't want to go, that might be the problem. Again, if that's the case, you might want to look into changing universities. That can be complicated. I will be honest, at this point I don't know a massive amount about that, but it is something that you can look into. Something like campus tours are really, really useful to do before you actually decide what uni you want to apply for. It's not going to give you that authentic studying there every day of your life for the next 3 or 4 years experience, but it will give you a feel for the place, it will give you a feel for the campus, the buildings, the transport systems, because that can all have an impact whether or not you have to commute really far, and you know, meet different people who might potentially be applying for that uni too. And so it can just give you a bit of a feel for it. You can look into what classes they maybe do outside of, you know, your subject, so what groups you could join or what societies they have, if that's the kind of thing that you're interested in. It's really good to get a feel for these things, just to give you an idea of if it's the sort of place that is the right fit for you. So that's it for my feel like quitting university video. I hope that that's been helpful, and I hope that if you are feeling this way that you feel better soon. As I say, I think the key to this situation is to really focus in on what it is that is making you feel down. Is it a temporary stress that's going to be out of your hair as soon as exam time is over, or is it something that you need to think a little bit more about, and that will help you make the right decision as to what you should do next. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are all doing really well. If you've got exams this week, I wish you lots and lots of luck. I'm sure you will be absolutely fine. And I will speak to you again next Monday. Bye! That kind of peer pressure, even if it's not been put on deliberately by them, even if they haven't said to you, please come and study this with us, if they're just talking excitedly about it amongst themselves.